Welcome back to Next Shift with Rick Wagan. Suzuki does not suck. This is the follow-up to the last episode where we talked about the different lines and what's going on in the summer and what Hugo has done to bolster this team. Obviously, one of the biggest pieces of the puzzle will be how Kirby Doc follows up. There'll also be some issues or some concerns with face-offs and PK. Those will be two things that are be interesting. But all in all, the Montreal Canadiens look really, really good. I created this one picture and basically wanted to share with you kind of what I see or what we see as the Montreal Canadiens core for the upcoming few years. If you look at this team and you look at these players, and obviously the Canadiens are made up of some veterans like Evans and Gallagher and Anderson, and you have Matheson and Carrier and others. But if you look at this core team, you look at guys like Lane Hutson, who's 21 years old. You have guys like Ivan Demidov, who's 19. Nick Suzuki is the grandpa in here, maybe tied with Noah Dobson at 25. Cole Caufield is 24. Uri Slafkovsky is 21. Zachary Bolduc is 22. Reinbacher is 21 or 22. Guhle is 22. Noah Dobson's 25. And Jacob Fowler is 20. Some honorable mentions below, as you can see. Michael Hage, playing in Michigan, could become a great player. Jacob Dobish looked pretty solid in the NHL last year. Alex Zarovsky, first pick by the Montreal Canadiens, second round. LJ Mooney, this kid looks like another Cole Caufield and Lane Hutson mixed into one. Maybe not the goal scoring ability, but the playmaking ability. It's going to be quite interesting. Florian Jacki, that I guess you can call him the deputy. We have the sheriff on the team already. And then some other ones like Kirby Doc. Again, I haven't given up on that guy. He's 23, 24 years old. Win Beck, another very smart centerman. He can win faceoffs, and that's why I'm not giving up on that player. Oliver Kapanen has done some great things, being a third-round pick and getting up, moving up the depth chart. I haven't seen enough good from him at the NHL level, but he looked really good in Europe. Similar to Vincent Rohrer, who you can think of as a speedster, much like a Newhook or a Byron. He needs to find his spot. I don't know if it'll happen. Adam Engstrom, I mean, that player, I really like Adam Engstrom. I think he's going to be an NHL defenseman. The challenge with the Montreal Canadiens is you have Lane Hutson, you have Guhle on the left side already. Adam Engstrom, is he your third left defenseman? You have Jacki, you have Struble, and Matheson at this point. So he's sixth on the depth chart, which is tough. So I anticipate he might get moved, but we'll see how it goes. And then you have Bogdan Konishov, who's out of Russia. I've been watching him, maybe not as much as Demidov, but he's a very solid defenseman. Think of Carrier, probably with a little bit more upside and maybe a little bit bigger width-wise, but not height-wise, and a little bit more upside offensively. For the guys I've mentioned here, I mean, I have no doubts that these players that you see on the screen are going to be either superstars or great on the Montreal Canadiens. It's some of the players on the honorable mention that we're just not sure yet. I know a lot of people have penciled in Michael Hage as the second center for the Montreal Canadiens. I haven't seen it yet. I'm not sold yet on the player. I think he's a very smart player. I think he's a solid player. I don't know if he's a top 6 player yet, but again, he was young last year, had a few injuries at the NCAA level, and I haven't followed much of him before that, so I'm gonna reserve my judgment. Just going back to the lines that we talked about last show, we had Laine and Doc playing with Demidov. I'm just crossing my fingers that Doc and Demidov have the chemistry. Ultimately, I saw a lineup that I liked. I still think the first line stays where it is. So you have Slafkovsky, Caufield, and Suzuki. I think that you put Bolduc on a line with Doc and Demidov. And then if you look at the third line, I found this line interesting where you put Evans on a line with Newhook and Laine. And this could help because if you look at that line, you now have a very, very smart defensive player in Evans playing with Laine. He does have some offensive upside. I've always loved Evans, and Newhook and Laine had a bit of chemistry. I think that might work. And then if you look at the second line, you have Bolduc kind of bolstering the 200-foot play. He could take some of the left-handed faceoffs off of Doc's plate. Doc and Demidov can get the chemistry, and Demidov is a smart guy. He'll learn how to play 200-foot game as well, and Doc just needs to figure it out, I think, and that's going to be like I said, the wild card. And the fourth line in that example is Anderson and Gallagher with either Veleno or maybe it's a Beck, maybe it's a Kapanen. We'll see how it kind of turns out over the season. I also saw a lineup with Guhle playing with Hutson, and I think that's probably how it's going to start off. But if they don't get rid of Matheson, which I think is very likely still, they have, he's in his last year of his contract. They need some cap space. They might make another trade. Getting rid of Matheson is very much, he's kind of a redundant resource when you have a Dobson and a Hutson. I see them moving on Matheson and giving Reinbacher his shot at the NHL level. He may not start in the top 4, but he'll get his shot. And if that happens, I guess we'll see. I mean, they can always go with a Dobson and a Struble instead of a Dobson and a Matheson, right? And then Jack-Eye and Carrier or vice versa. So everyone could play with everyone. And then when we look at Jacob Fowler on this list, I think I mentioned it, but ultimately Jacob Fowler is the starting goalie for the Montreal Canadiens for years to come. It might take 1 or 2 more years. He didn't look quite ready yet, but NHL goalies take a little bit longer. So I'm excited again. I think the lineup could go anywhere. Listen, I it's obviously the summer. There's been no injuries. We'll see how it all plays out. But Montreal Canadiens, if you look at this lineup, right? If you look at the way their team is constructed, the age, there was 5 forwards, 4 defensemen on that list, and a goalie. So really, ultimately, the Montreal Canadiens are poised to be an elite team for years to come. And I think this year is the first year where if some of these players can click, they should be in the top 3. They should be fighting for top 3 in the Atlantic and fighting for home ice. So ultimately, Montreal Canadiens look great. Obviously, it's July 25th right now, so lots more to look to see. And ultimately, players like Price's contract might get traded. Players like Matheson, the Canadiens are still looking, like we said, November, December timeframe. There'll be opportunities in the league for teams that are trying to maybe tank a little bit for the number 1 overall pick. So ultimately, the Montreal Canadiens are looking great, and just want to kind of touch base and revisit the lineup and the core players who most of them, they're all 25 and under, and most of them are under 23. So looking great. Talk to you guys soon. That's it for Next Shift. Suzuki does not suck.